Welcome to the What's Up Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves television judge and Jerry. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-host Mattson.
Better red than dead.
Alec Burgess,
Let's get it.
and Dalton Bieber.
It will get better before it gets worse.
So much fun. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. As always, we appreciate it, and we're here to talk about Miss Marvel episode 3. Yeah, go ahead, hit that like, subscribe, bell notification, all that fun stuff. We cracked 100 followers or subscribers on YouTube. Yeah. I know it's all like a little tiny number, but we appreciate everybody that subscribes, and tell more people to do it because that's important. And tell them to go see Alec on TikTok because our TikTok's pretty funny. I mean, I get a kick out of it.
JJ said I'm funny, guys. Now you have to do it.
That's true. That's true.
I didn't though, so
According to
about
Mattson, I think everything's funny though. So
yeah, if we're going to bring back Bill and Ted, I mean
There we
JJ's
go.
humor level is like sometimes I
I liked
JJ,
Bill and Ted.
Yeah, well, of course you would, Alec, because
I'm funny, and so is JJ, and
didn't-
you're a soul sucking fun sucker.
I didn't want to say anything offensive there, so I'm just gonna not do that right now. But that was a terrible movie. Our listeners, go listen to that episode because if you want to hear me rant and just lean in the JJ, it's a good one.
it's true. Yeah. Mattson's going
Planning
on
my
the list.
next TikTok roast.
I love it. All right, so let's talk about Miss Marvel episode 3. Guys, I continue to love this show. Like I watch it, and every episode I'm like, why do I love this much? But I do. I continue to enjoy this show quite a bit. Yeah, we'll talk about something else. I just wanted to say that, and this episode was pretty exciting for me. Like I just thought it was funny. The opening confirmed that I was right, that these are being at least tied to what the Kree nega bands, because that hand was the blue hand. That was obviously a Kree at the beginning in that flashback.
So basically,
that's what that
JJ,
was?
they're saying
Yeah.
they're like the unmade without saying they're the unmade in their own way in the Marvel universe. Because when they're calling the Jinn, it seems like it's everything that they were in the comics without calling them the unmade, so as to not confuse time.
Yeah, the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of it is Disney's, and there's been some backlash. I don't know enough about the Muslim religion to know, but at least part of the Muslim religion is they believe that jinn are real. Like that's a real thing. So, because they believe that anything that's in, I was reading briefly about it, so I'm going to misspeak, I'm sure. So I apologize to any Muslims that may be listening, but yeah, I mean, it's Disney doing some, I think, trying to fully tie into the fact that this is about a Pakistani family in the Muslim religion. And so from what I've read, there are certainly people that think that they didn't do it well. I don't know enough to say yay or nay whether they did or not, but it was an interesting take to me, that it's their jinn and it was that they've been banished from their home world or home dimension or whatever it was. So
we don't really know why. We just know that they have been.
yeah.
It seems like they are superhuman to some extent, like strength, speed type stuff, right? I mean, that's the way it looked during the fight scenes.
Yeah, either that or it was kind of like that Netflix show that we did with Charlize Theron, where maybe not super speed and strength, but certainly have lived long enough that they have some fighting skills.
Didn't one of them like punch through or like make a dent in like the concrete floor or something? That's the only thing I remember, because otherwise they just look extremely expert at fighting for sure.
Yeah, it could be. I don't remember if they went through the floor, but I certainly was like, ooh, they got some skills.
Well, that one guy walked past the dude and at the very least just one hand fisted like knockout. I'm like, well, you could do that as a human. You just have to be very good at what you do to be able to do that.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I mean, I did have like I was laughing because I was like, man, she's really good at dodging.
Yeah, it's like she doesn't really know what she's doing yet.
Yeah,
She's still Nightlight.
yeah, exactly.
What was that one guy fighting with though? The one that it wasn't a belt, but it was something.
Yeah, it was like a really thick whip or something.
It was like Indiana Jones meets Marvel, and I was like, that's a cool weapon. Like I probably would use that.
Yeah,
I wondered if it was a take on. I think it's Indian. There's like a sword that's foldable, and it's like a whip sword thing. Um, so I was curious if maybe it was a take on that.
we've talked about that weapon before, and I don't remember what movie it was
I don't
in a
know.
past episode. I'm glad you brought that out, Alec, because I didn't even think about it. But there was a sword that was it in?
It's like bendy, and it's made of like those
Oh,
interlated.
you know what's interesting? I just
Yeah.
looked this up on Google. It says, but the Indian martial art of Kalaman Paratu has both of them beat with the Urumi, a sword that acts like a whip. The Urumi, so it looks like it's like a ancient Indian weapon potentially. So maybe it makes sense that we actually saw it in Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool, whatever it was, Alec. Very cool. Maybe
I
it's
want
like
one.
it's like a lethal version of Fruit by the Foot. Wow.
Oh, that was awesome.
Those are fun to eat. If y'all haven't done that in a while, tap your inner child. But I was especially fascinated by that particular weapon.
Yeah, Raya and the Last Dragon. That sword that she has extends out into like kind of a whip like that. Um, that's what I was thinking of, and that's also Southeast Asia based. So
Yeah, Urumi. I just found it again. Wikipedia has a whole page. It's like a whip-like blade that originated in modern day Korea in the Indian subcontinent. So it's like a legit like in Indian weapon of the past. Very cool. Well, if you didn't remember anything else from this podcast, we just all learned a bit of history.
yeah,
That's actually one of the things I know none of us are experts and probably can't confirm or deny. Like I don't know what traditional Muslims wedding looks like, but they asked that question 3 times, like, do you take so and so to be your husband or wife? And I don't know anything about those traditions, but the show I would imagine is trying to stay rooted in some sort of tradition, and it was cool to see a glimpse of that because honestly I know nothing really about that faith and such, and I think the show's, in my opinion, done a good job of enlightening me in some of the cultural aspects. Now, maybe others would hate what they've shown, but it's been interesting to see a show put the Muslim faith in the limelight.
yeah. The only thing that I've read, this is the first time because I've been looking into it because like you said, Mattson, I've been learning a lot. Like I didn't know about partition. I didn't know, like it was very interesting. Like I've seen one of Casey's favorite movies to watch is some hotel movie in India. I don't even remember the best Marigold Hotel or something. It's a cute show and it takes place in India. And so she's like, I've learned a little bit about that, but as far as the partition and the other side of that, where India is, you think about India and it's India, but I didn't, again, like I said in the first episode, I didn't know Pakistan and Bangladesh, and they were all at one point one region and one, area. But so it was really interesting to me. And then from what I've read, as far as the Muslim religion and then how they're portraying Pakistani family life and some of the traditions, the only thing that people have complained about so far was with this episode and how they used the jinn, and how that worked. And I don't remember all the details of it, but so I think they've done a pretty good job with the accuracy up until this point. And then, like I said, some people are pretty salty about the jinn thing. So, but
That's gonna be
yeah, I
hard
enjoyed the
'cause
wedding.
They're trying to take the jinn and rolling into superhero fake non-reality, and it's like, well, at some point you're gonna muddy the waters. And again, this is a comic book, and we're watching it on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, and this is neither here nor there, but in my opinion, this is the problem with what, and again, I use air quotes, but quote unquote, like woke America, is that you can never fully please that group, right? Like, so I think it's cool that you're getting the diversity and you're getting an actual show that doesn't, it's not blatantly obvious. They're actually just playing into what this culture would be in America and some of the troubles and struggles that they go through. And then you get to see the really cool stuff that they have, like that, outdoor market that they were at, like the big party, and then the wedding, which was really kind of fun to watch. I was like, damn, I wish my wedding was that cool. Like, you know what I mean? And I thought also, I had that same thought that you did, Mattson, where I was like, whoa, they make them confirm it 3 times, which in most, at least American traditional weddings, you only get it once. And I thought that was pretty cool, that it's not like yep, let's say yes or I do and get it over with. Like, there has to be a level of confirmation of,
making you think about it.
Yeah, like, yes, I am committing to this, and to make them do it 3 times. I thought that was really interesting. And that is, I read again, that's something that in Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, that cultural, it's less the Muslim piece and more that cultural piece of the world is what I read. They do that, and it's that traditional with the dances, and a lot of times they'll have those big party dances like you saw,
Yeah.
like
Felt
they
like
were
we
doing.
watching a Bollywood movie right there.
Yeah, it was really cool. And they have referenced in this movie Kingo from the what a, oh man, my brain just
Eternals.
stopped. The Eternals. Yeah, like they mentioned some of the movies that showed him in that plane where he plays his grandpa and his dad or whatever.
Yeah.
So like they did mention those in the first 2 episodes. So there is that reference. But yeah, like that's that Bollywood thing. But yeah, so like I said, I've actually learned more about it from this show and been more interested in that. It's made me interested in that cultural piece and understanding a lot of that. So
But I think that's again, I was in Toronto this past week for work, and one of my good buddies that I work with, actually my boss now, name's Alec. He's a huge movie buff. Someone will probably get in the show one day. Him and I were just talking about, like, do I like this show? Do I not like this show? And the more I just tell myself, I enjoy, like JJ said, every time I watch an episode, like I leave feeling just good. Like, it's generally uplifting. Like, this isn't a dark show by any stretch of the means. It's more whimsical. It's colorful. It's a little bit over the top to some extent, but it all works for me. But the problem when I try to insert the previous Marvel that I've come to know and expect, this doesn't meet my bar of expectation from what I knew about when they introduced Captain America to Iron Man to Thor and all. It doesn't carry that same gravitas for me. But like my buddy was saying, it's Marvel's experimenting and trying something new, kind of like what they did with Moon Knight, which a lot of ways didn't feel like Marvel. This really doesn't feel like Marvel, but I'm starting to be very okay with it. And again, if this was just some show I was watching, I know I would like it because it's different. And I think that's kind of where I'm at, like where I still don't know about the superhero side of this show, but man, I really just like the show. And this episode was no different. I love Bruno. I like Kamala. I like just the various family members, the extended family. It just all feels good. And I'm excited to see more of our protagonists here. But I mean, it's coming together well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Alec, you've historically poo-pooed a little on this show. What did you think of this episode overall?
I'm still lost. Like,
Fair.
as soon as I
mean,
saw,
is that like just a personal flaw of yours, like still trying to find yourself, or is
oh
it like
well,
just,
I mean, that goes without saying. I don't need to advertise that. But
because
I saw Blue Hand.
you are friends with a tiger that isn't real, so
Okay,
like
Hobbs can hear you right now, man. First off, thank you very much. Don't worry about it, bud. We'll roast him later. Anyway, so I saw Blue Hand and Jin, and I went to Genie and Robin
Sure.
Williams. And from there, I was lost because I never even thought about the Kree. Not even once. Because, at least from my knowledge, the Jin in kind of these mythologies are spirits or demons or, tricksters. And so I went more mythology, less Marvel. And from there, I just got all my turns and twists and confused with a bunch of knots. I enjoyed it, because it kind of picked up a little bit, and we see now we have like the bad guys and the good guys. But during that kitchen scene, I could not stop thinking about Jurassic Park mashed up with little Leia Organa running away from bounty hunters. And that is all that was going through my mind. I mean, yeah, I'm the outlier on this one. No questions asked, obviously. Not my cup of tea. Right. I like the historical aspect, and I think I mentioned this last episode. I would love just to see the family. I would love to see this Pakistani family go through life as a sitcom, because I think it would be hilarious. But the superhero, I'm confused on where, she's the angsty teen, but she has like this great support system that she's not taking advantage of, which bugs me, right? Because her mom and dad are, it's not like, let's say Spider-Man, right? Who is living with his aunt and uncle. Uncle dies type of thing. He's got to keep a secret, unsure where to go. He still kind of opens up to Aunt May, right? But then, I mean, not the same support structure. She's got the strongest support structure you could ever ask for if you're going through something, and she's still like, no, I can't tell you what it is. And it's like, if you told your parents, what the bangle is, what happened, I feel like they would move heaven and earth to, help you out and get you answers. And so now we have this moment where she's got to convince her mom to go back to Pakistan. And I was like, this would be so easy if you just told your mom, hey, I put on the bangle you told me not to put on, and now I can do this. We got to go see grandma.
Yeah.
Superheroes have to live in secrecy.
Well, mostly that's because that's their circumstance.
Yeah. Well, and I think, to be honest with you, Alec, I think they're leaning towards, we'll get to that point where she leans on that support system as we get near the end. I think that's her trying to figure out how to do this and understand that she's not the same as every other superhero that kind of has to hide their identity to a certain degree. And not that they do that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe very well at this point. And that's where, damage control comes in, is that they're here to unmask every superhero because of the Accords. And so they're still leaning into heavily with that. But I'm with you. But I also think the mom knows more about this bangle than she's letting on. Like, because every time it comes up, like, the mom seems a little like weird. So I think she has some knowledge of what's going on. Maybe it was that the grandma tried to give the mom the bangle or whatever it was. So, because, it seemed like she has some level of knowledge of that. It creates some not good situations in her family. But no, I'm with you. It's an interesting take on it, but I like it. Dalton, what about you, buddy?
So for this episode, I liked it. I didn't watch it right after Obi-Wan, so I learned my lesson from last time. There you go.
Good call.
No, I think it was a good episode overall. I didn't know about the Jinn prior to this episode, so I didn't know what they were until this episode. I guess that was a little redundant. Anyway, for me, like, that the woman seemed really shady, like when she was talking to Kamala. So the plot twist of them being the antagonists was really predictable, especially because I wasn't expecting Damage Control to be the antagonist the whole show. So it was predictable. However, I do like how it's a stronger antagonist, and I think it's going to build the story a lot more. And I'm very curious where it goes. And then I agree. I love the family, and I think the family system just gets better each episode and more complex. And I think it just seems like Kamala's about to crack. Like, she's about to crack to her mom and dad about the bangle. Is that how you say it, bangle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, making sure. I want to be culturally woke, but yeah, no, I think the family is going to give her more support, and that she's finally going to crack to her mom eventually. But I think the only reason why she hasn't told her mom yet is because her mom said, "Oh, whoever's mom this is should be ashamed." So it's like I bet that doesn't help Kamala's situation. Like, oh, I don't want to tell her, but that it's me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we saw that her friend, I thought it was an interesting dynamic too, that her friend that's now a part of the board or whatever with the mosque, is that she was saying that this person is not helping them. from a perspective of, the attention's on us now. Our mosque is getting raided, so it's like I feel for Kamala, and I like that dynamic, because for me, it's we jump in and go, man, this is a superhero movie. Everybody should accept her and think it's great, and I think a lot of people would, and I think there's a lot of people that are pretty excited that this community has a superhero that's there, even though she dropped some dude on a car. But I love that the mosque leader was like, yeah, but she still saved him, right? May not be the best save, but still saved him, where he probably wouldn't be alive with a broken arm. He'd be much worse. But so, yeah, I mean, I get the perspective of there's a level of fear there that she will be rejected as opposed to accepted in that situation, especially from her mom, who obviously is very tough on her, as parents can be. So, but I'm with you guys completely. The family is the best part of this show. Like, the dad continues to entertain the hell out of me. The brother is amazing. The mom's funny and just annoying mom enough that I'm like, this is too familiar in a lot of ways, right? But so, yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Alec. I could sit and watch a show of like these guys just interacting and having a good time and just really enjoy it. But I think that's my favorite part with this is, like Mattson said, like I just leave every episode going, that was fun. I had a good time watching it. And I don't remember the last time like I just felt I wasn't overanalyzing the show or thinking too much. I just go, God, I just had a good time for the last 40 minutes. Like that was fun. So I think that's what they're doing the best with this show, in my opinion. It's just
Agreed.
a good time.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I just want to see where this story is going. It's now we're to a point where it's kind of built, and I think we're, like we've seen a lot of shows, we're going to see a lot more dominoes fall here shortly and on where they're trying to take this. But I'm sold. I want to see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's only 3 episodes left, so it's another 6 episode.
Is there any
show.
movement feel about there being another season? Like, I don't necessarily. I'd be quite happy so far if they wrap this up in a limited series and call it good until she shows up in one of the movies later on, as we've talked about. I'd be okay with it so far.
Yeah, I haven't heard yay or nay if there's going to be their plan for second seasons. I just know for sure she's one of the ones besides like the new Captain America and then of course Wanda that have been confirmed to be in a movie after this is over. So this will lead right into the Marvels next year or later this year. I don't remember when it comes out, but it's either later this year or early next year that the Marvels will release, and she's confirmed to be a part of that movie. I'm with you though. I would be okay if it was just a 1 season, introduce her, and then let her kind of have that moment in the movie, see where it goes, and maybe get her own movie down the road. But so far, I would happily watch anything that has to do with Miss Marvel, because like I've just said, if it's as good and as entertaining and fun as this has been, it's a nice break from some of the seriously heavy stuff we've been dealing with in the MCU so far in phase 4, because it's been a pretty dark. They're going in different places. It's not even with the comedy level that's there and a lot of the stuff that they always do. The content's pretty heavy. Like when you think about in the Multiverse of Madness, like that was a pretty dark show. So, and there's some heavy consequences coming. Even like Loki, that show was pretty heavy. WandaVision was pretty heavy. The Captain America was very heavy. There's not a lot of lightness to the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now outside of their forced comedy, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But so this show's been a nice break because it's back to some of that goofy. Even though there's serious stakes, it's pretty fun.
Until we watch the new Thor and we see his clothes get whisked away and all those ladies faint.
Yeah.
Ladies, I'm gonna faint too. Jeez.
Yeah, no kidding. Even Zeus gets a little wobbly there in that moment. Yeah, that one should be interesting. That's soon too. That's like 2 weeks away.
Yep.
All right. Any final thoughts on Miss Marvel? I think we've covered quite a bit for this episode. So
I just want to quickly, while we're on the topic of Phase 4,
yeah,
I'm just curious. Do we think Ms. Marvel might be connected to Shang-Chi? just because
Mm.
during the flashback of the partition, I'm pretty sure they found the bangle right where it was like the 10 rings on the ground.
Son of a bitch. I'm gonna have to go rewatch that now.
Like I'm pretty sure I'm like I could be wrong, and I was like maybe that's like some of the Kree stuff you guys were talking about, but I'm pretty sure in the partition flashback they find the bangle right on top of the 10 rings, or it's like an engraving of the 10 rings. I wanted to make sure I pointed that
That would
out,
make sense because his dad was a conqueror.
right? And
Nope.
it's both
You-
wrist wear.
You are perfectly correct. The
Yeah.
chamber that they were
Woo.
in is tied to, it's got the 10 rings in the floor.
Thanks, Dalton. You broke
Well
my
done,
brain,
sir.
JJ,
The only-
you should be ashamed.
I am. I am ashamed and thoroughly proud. Well done. I did not even see that at all. I was so intrigued by looking for Kree artifacts and things like that I completely missed the 10
Dalton,
rings on the
I
floor.
have some unfortunate news for you. JJ's being highly complimentary, and I've been friends with him long enough to know that this is his way of writing off the show. So this probably will be your last time with us.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I cannot have anyone out nerd me, dude.
Well, it was fun while it lasted.
Oh, good find, man. That's you should write one of these blog posts that everyone has. You're one of those investigators.
Right.
Yeah.
We now will turn to you for these inside scoops and not JJ.
Man, well
I'm the-
played, sir. That's good because that means I can talk a little less. No, dude.
No,
Well
it's a-
played, man. Like, wow, how did I miss that? Like, it's blatant, that shot
Yeah,
that
it's
they
like-
have an image of.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
like because before the episode, like a couple days prior to the episode, I think like there was a thing going around that Kevin Feige said that it's going to be soon revealed like where Phase 4 is going or where the direction of Marvel's going. So I was like trying to find any connection I can, and I was kind of thinking, well, Shang-Chi, the rings is wrist wear, the bangles wrist wear, maybe it's connected. And then sure enough, like I was like analyzing the episode, and sure enough, I saw the 10 rings.
My respect has deepened, but get off my show. No, I'm just kidding. Well, and it's like it really works too, because India's right below China, Pakistan, they're all right there in the south side of China. So son of a bitch, that's well played, sir.
I guess the only question is it like when I forget his name in the movies, but Shang-Chi's dad, I think it's Wenwu. I think it's his dad's name.
Wenwu.
Was it does that the cave he may have found the rings, or is that something he explored? And because it's the 10 ring logo that he uses, so I mean maybe it's just something they like explored and marked their territory. So it could just be that too.
Sure. Well, and it's an interesting concept that maybe at some point the 10 rings had a storage facility, for lack of a better term, for maybe they found artifacts. I mean, the dude's been around long enough that I'm sure he's found other artifacts. But if you didn't have the Jinn, you weren't a descendant of the Jinn, that's one of the ways that Mattson, when you brought up that they're tying it kind of the inhuman piece of her, as opposed just not inhuman, but having it be Jinn, is that it seems like you need to have that descendancy from the Jinn, have the Jinn, which is the way that Inhumans work. You had to have the Inhuman gene for the crystals that they use to trigger your powers to come to activate. So it seems like you need to have the Jinn blood or Jinn descendancy for these bangles to actually work. So maybe Wenwu found them and they were being stored, or maybe he had a fight with the Kree. Son of a bitch. Now my brain's going crazy. What if the Kree and the fucking 10 rings had a battle and some sort of way back in the day? See,
It could very likely be too.
Well, I think we're gonna find some of that out in these next couple episodes, and then the sequel to Shang-Chi.
yeah, which I'm excited for.
Which was probably
Shang-Chi
the
was awesome.
best movie other than Spider-Man, in my opinion.
Yeah, Shang-Chi was I really enjoy that movie. Yeah. Well, man, Dalton, now you've given me shit to think about and look into. So
That's what I'm here
disappointed
for.
in myself.
Our viewers,
here for the quick
we now
snippets.
have 2 Marvel experts. Maybe just one now.
Ooh.
JJ may have lost his title for the time being.
Man, I got distracted by the fun nature of this show and forgot to look for serious connections to the greater world.
I'll tell you straight up, listeners, did not see that at all. Also, probably needed to close my curtains because it was a little hard to see in the darkness. So I probably still wouldn't have seen it. That's why I do this podcast, because I have people like Dalton and JJ.
At least you were in the same universe. I was over here saying you got a friend. Yeah, you need a friend like me, man. I was having fun looking for magic carpets and talking monkeys.
Yeah, I love that you see a blue hand and go right to Genie. Like,
I mean, again, this is a man that is friends with a tiger.
it's
Got
fair.
a name. It's Hobbs. 2 B's.
Hobbs.
It's fair. All right. Well, there it is. Miss Marvel episode 3. I'm very interested to see where the show goes, especially now. God, so many tie-ins to the wider universe, introducing new concepts from the universe. Just having a good time with this show. But Dalton, tell everybody where they can find your content, my friend, and what you got going on right now.
So they could, if you're listening, you can find me on TikTok. I pretty much say it every episode, but if this is for some reason your first time joining us, I work at a fun park, and what I do on my TikTok is that I do wristband callouts, and then sometimes I just do theme ones. So like I've done a Star Wars one, I've done a Marvel one. Yeah, just kind of cool stuff like that. And I'm planning more stuff really soon, I promise.
And his TikTok.
Oh, there we go. If you're watching on the video.
Son of, I hate cameras. Down below, Dalton W. Beaver. That's where you find him. Mattson, tell everybody where else they can find us, buddy.
Yeah, if you want to see videos of a tiger named Hobbs with 2 B's, I'm sure I'm going to get roasted here by said tiger probably today, tomorrow.
How
Tuesday.
did you know?
Check us out on What's Our Verdict on TikTok, most especially. That's how you interact with us. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you'll see some of our posts on what has dropped or will drop. Check us out at whatsourverdict.com to see what is upcoming. Some upcoming things. Certainly Thor Ragnarok drops in a couple of weeks. We're getting close to the point where we will finish Stranger Things because that gets released. The Boys is almost done as well, and we'll kind of go through the last episodes there. And let me say, cannot wait for that because there's been some juicy stuff that's happened. We just finished Obi-Wan, if you haven't listened to that. We've got like She-Hulk coming out later. I know that we want to do Bullet Train, and I'm trying to think of the other big movie that's dropping this summer. Maybe it's just Thor Ragnarok and Bullet Train off the top of my head that I can think about.
Yeah, those are the ones I can think of.
Yeah. But we have been getting some requests for some movies that we don't want to watch, and we will watch them. Charles, if you're listening, that's you amongst other people. Keep them coming. We love it. We love the interaction.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yep, there it is. Thanks, Mattson. Thanks, Dalton. Thanks, Alec. Hang on. Okay. Do you know where Hobbs comes from, Mattson?
Yeah, Calvin and Hobbes, right? I love that. That's my
just-
favorite comic of all time. I just
Yeah,
like
me too.
roasting our tiger.
Gotcha. Well, I love the headband. Like, he looks like Bruce Springsteen Hobbs all the time. So I got the tiger
or maybe
boss in the back.
Podcast uniform, JJ.
I know. I love it, dude.
Shirt and a headband.
As soon as the guy gets his voice, you're done. So.
Shoot, you're gonna have to live outside now, huh? Jeez.
All right. Well, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
What?
Cinemagic out.
Whoa!